In the dimly lit basement of an old, crumbling farmhouse, Sarah huddled with her family. Outside, the night was filled with eerie silence, punctuated only by distant screams. They had been holed up here for days, ever since the news broke about the outbreak. The world had descended into chaos when the dead began to rise. No one knew why, but they were hungry for flesh. Sarah's father, John, had managed to reinforce the basement door with a thick wooden plank. It wouldn't hold them forever, but it was their only line of defense. The flickering lantern cast eerie shadows on the damp, dirt-covered walls. Sarah clutched her younger brother, Tim, close to her chest. His trembling body pressed against her, and she could feel the fear radiating from him. "Mum, when are they going away?" Tim whimpered, his voice barely more than a whisper. Their mother, Emily, tried to sound reassuring, but her voice trembled too. "I don't know, Tim. We have to be quiet and wait for help." But help was nowhere in sight. The phone lines were dead, and the internet had gone silent. They were alone, trapped, with no way of knowing if the world outside still existed. The hours dragged on, and the air in the basement grew colder. The family's eyes were fixed on the wooden plank barricading the door. Every creak and groan of the old house sent shivers down their spines. Then it happened. A low, guttural growl echoed through the house, followed by the unmistakable sound of shuffling footsteps. Sarah's heart raced as she held her breath, praying that whatever was out there wouldn't find them. The footsteps grew louder, closer, and Sarah could feel her family's fear mounting. John held a rusty pipe in his hand, ready to defend his loved ones if necessary. Emily clutched a kitchen knife, her knuckles white with tension. The basement door shook as something heavy slammed against it. Sarah's eyes met her father's, and they both knew that their barricade wouldn't hold much longer. They were running out of time. Just as Sarah was about to scream, the noise abruptly stopped. It was as if whatever was outside had lost interest and moved away. They waited in silence, unsure if they should dare to hope. Minutes passed, and the basement remained quiet. John cautiously approached the door and pressed his ear against it. He listened intently, but there was nothing. No growls, no shuffling, no footsteps. It was as if the world outside had returned to its eerie silence. He turned back to his family, his face a mixture of relief and confusion. I think they're gone," he said in a hushed tone. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as a glimmer of hope washed over her. "Should we check?" she asked, her voice trembling. John nodded, and together they carefully removed the wooden plank. He gripped the rusty pipe tightly as he slowly cracked open the door. The stale air of the basement gave way to the heavy, earthy scent of the outside world. Peering cautiously through the opening, they saw nothing but darkness. The moonlight barely illuminated the overgrown yard, casting eerie shadows on the decaying trees. The world outside seemed deserted. With bated breath, they stepped out onto the porch. The night was eerily quiet, and the only sounds were the rustling leaves and the distant howling of the wind. It was as if the horrors of the past days had never occurred. As they cautiously ventured further from the safety of their farmhouse, they noticed something unsettling. The streets were littered with abandoned cars, shattered windows, and discarded belongings. It was a chilling reminder of the chaos that had unfolded, but there were no signs of the undead, no hungry eyes glowing in the darkness, no rotting hands reaching out for them. It was as if the zombies had vanished into thin air. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah's family cautiously explored their once thriving town. They encountered other survivors, all equally baffled by the mysterious disappearance of the zombie invaders. No one knew where they had gone or why they had left. In the absence of answers, life slowly began to return to a semblance of normalcy. But the memory of those days, trapped in the basement, haunted Sarah's dreams. She couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed in the world, something darker and more sinister than they could ever comprehend. And as the days passed, she couldn't help but wonder if the zombies were truly gone, or if they were merely biding their time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again.